You are listening to the Starting Over podcast with Lisa Yvette. Welcome to the Starting Over podcast, where we understand that God is not only intentional, but in the midst of every single start over. I am your host, Lisa Yvette. This week, this week right here, I get to have a chat with one of God's daughters who has a starting over testimony that the church at large absolutely needs to hear. This week, we get into the touchy subject of divorce in the church. My guest is a woman of God who I have seen blossom into a formidable and beautiful flower that God has handpicked to be a voice in this generation. I'm going to read this. Kim Bright is an author, transformational life coach, and a guiding force for men and women to repossess their abundance after divorce, breakups, and trauma. In her debut novel, Someone Borrowed, Someone Blue, she fearlessly shares her journey of triumph over childhood trauma and sexual abuse, earning the book a 5-star rating. Her upcoming release, Dumb BITCH, The Smart Woman's Guide to Decode Emotional Terrorism, unpacks the manipulative tactics of emotional terrorism and narcissistic abuse, equipping women to break free from the relentless game of cat and mouse. With a trauma-informed coaching approach and a commitment to truth and transparency, Kim empowers others to see themselves as fearfully and wonderfully made. She helps them to step into the fullness of who God always intended them to be, whole, worthy, and living on purpose. More importantly, Kim Bright is a servant of God and a woman of character and integrity, and I'm proud to call her my friend. So put your hands together for Florida Girl and ATL Shorty. Kim Bright.
What's up, Lisa? Lisa Yvette in the house. I'm on with Lisa Yvette, y'all. Listen, come on. I'm so excited to be here, girl. Thank you so much for inviting me to starting over. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad to have you. So first, and I know this may catch you off guard, tell us one thing about Kim Bright that we would never ever guess.
Uh, let me think. Oh, that's a good one. That I'm an introvert.
Oh,
Maybe people don't get that because they see me so much on social and I'm always running my mouth
I
that
get I get
you
it that
do?
you are one. But I could see the people being surprised.
Yeah, that I value filling myself up with alone time and
Awesome.
peace and quiet.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, we're discussing divorce this week. And Kim, fortunately or unfortunately, has come through the divorce process, not unscathed, but prospering nonetheless. So, Kim, if you don't mind, can you give us a short recap of your story?
Sure. Well, my story is one of I married my college sweetheart. We were married 28 years and we were together 32. And the marriage is a magnifying glass, okay? It magnifies stuff about you that you might not ever learn otherwise. It was one of magnifying my acute people pleasing, pride, hypocrisy, all those things. But it also was a tool that magnified and revealed my resilience through domestic violence, through repeated infidelity, through betrayal. So it was a lot of things, but those years did teach me a lot. It did develop me into the woman that I am today. The marriage did ultimately end in divorce. And anytime there is divorce, there is a starting over. My starting over started with an additional lawsuit that I had to navigate, one of accusations of felony, accusations of just false accusations, and attempts to have me incarcerated and things of that nature. So you think you're divorced, you're a single woman now, you're gonna start over. I was excited, and then you're hit with another impact, another blow. but it's one that really taught me the power of prayer, and you learn the power of persistence and the power of truth. And you come out, like you said, not unscathed. I got some battle wounds, honey. I can definitely show you, but it's one where God was in it. He shows you how you don't look like what you've been through.
Oh,
That's more than a cliche for me, not looking like what I've been through. But not only that, it's a story that is helping others to overcome.
oh,
I almost like beg God, God, please don't let all this stuff I've been through be for naught, just for nothing, just for me. Please let somebody be able to benefit and overcome by the words of my testimony. So that's a little bit of my story.
okay. This is a quick question in here. Let me just drop this in here. You said you guys were together for 28 years. You were married for 28 years and together for 32. He was your college sweetheart. What precipitate, like this is ideal for most people. What would you say precipitated your divorce? Or what, or like how did the divorce come about? That's the better question. How did the divorce come about?
Well, divorce, let me generalize. Divorce in general comes about whenever it's an option. And divorce only takes one vote. Okay. The reason why I say that is because what precipitated it, what brought it on, was something far out of my control. I was the kid who said, I ain't never getting divorced. I don't care what happens. I'm going to stick beside him and blah, 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 blah. So
Man,
divorce was not, huh?
that's my man. I'm gonna stick
I'm going to
beside.
stick beside him. Yeah. So no matter what. Um, so divorce was not an option for me, as it probably should have been. And it could have been like legally, spiritually, biblically, I could have been pulled the trigger.
Right.
But the actual divorce was his decision. So it was out of my control. He was out. There was nothing to be said. We were actually in the middle of divorce. We were in the middle of marriage counseling. So it was like a blindsided thing. Like I thought we were both working towards reconciliation, healing some things. So my mind was nowhere near divorce. My mind was all, we got a steep hill to climb to heal some of the things in our marriage, but his heart was already gone. So he made a decision to divorce, um, and I complied, and that was how the divorce happened.
Okay. Well, okay. One thing that we say, and you mentioned it briefly, but one thing that is said at the start of every podcast is that God is intentional and in the midst of our every start over. Did you experience this in this season? And how so?
Gotta be intentional. Most definitely. God was intentional, I would say, about breaking my heart to bring me freedom.
Ooh,
He was extremely intentional to allow me to go through the things I went through so that I could bring him glory. And I always think about when I'm thinking about this question, I'm thinking about how sometimes when you're out of a situation, you can see how much you idolize that situation or how you really built an altar. I built an altar at marriage. Okay. It was something where usually when you're not able to break a vow or break that idolatry of a thing, God becomes intentional about doing it for you or helping you do it or doing it and then walking you through it. Okay. So he was intentional about, no matter I had made this vow as a kid, I'm never getting divorced, and I don't care what happens. I was a product of a divorce. My parents have several divorces between them, and I was going to be the one to change the narrative of my generation. And all you have to do in my young mind that I carried into adulthood, in my young mind, all you gotta do is do whatever you want you to do whatever your husband wants you to do, just make him happy, just please.
Ooh,
That was not the case. So in my in God's intentionality, it was one to break me free from that people pleasing, to break me free from thinking, no matter what, I am going to stay. I'm going to prayer changes things and don't get me into the religious dogma that that helped shackle my feet where I was and to take the stuff I took. But God was intentional to show me that there was better for me, even
yeah.
though I didn't believe it, even though I didn't understand it. He was very intentional that this thing in me has to die so that I can get the glory out of you and show you a freedom that you don't even know about.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
So wait a minute, because and just forgive me for a second. So it's something you said twice. You said in your marriage, you discovered in that under that magnifying glass that you had a people-pleasing tendency.
Man, yes.
Two things.
Yes.
Where do you think that stemmed from, and what did it show itself as? Like how did it manifest in your relationship?
It came from a lot of times people pleasing is a taught behavior, and sometimes it is a behavior of survival. Okay, so my people pleasing, the seed of people pleasing for me came from childhood sexual abuse. I was taught to please. I was um morphed, I was molded in a pleasing capacity that if you please, you will have access to love, you will have access to acceptance, you will have access to being looked at in a certain way. So I really, my whole life was from a child was built on making people happy, pleasing, and that was my way of feeling some form of self-esteem, of
Okay.
self-worth through pleasing. Now, how did that show up in my marriage? It showed up by being extremely selfless, extremely self-sacrificial to the point where whatever was asked of me, I complied and did not honor what I wanted, did not honor. I walked on the eggshells. I walked on, the hard asks, the, hey, I need this, or, you become an ATM machine in a lot of ways. Like I had to learn and grow through the milking of resources where there are resources, right? But it's a fine line when you're a breadwinning wife and you see elements of usury, but you try to stay positive and think, well, it's ours and I have, so why wouldn't I give? Anything that was asked, keep the peace, keep things together. You take it upon yourself as a people pleaser that all of that is within your control. And then sometimes when you're successful, it can develop pride. A lot of times people pleasers don't talk about the pride that it builds up. Oh, because I did this, I now know how to move. And if I can just do this, it becomes a me thing, whether it's projected or internalized. Um, but whatever, I knew things weren't right. I knew there came a point in time where I knew the things I gave were not going to be honored. But I kept that fingers crossed prayer that, oh, maybe this time it'll be okay. Maybe this time he will see what I'm sacrificing and he will honor me. Maybe if I do it this one time, this one more again, if I do it one more time, maybe he'll see. Maybe if this sacrifice is this large. If I give this much, that would win me. People pleasing is it's a perspective of earning love,
Oh,
earning, of working, of auditioning. It is extremely exhausting, okay, to say the least. It is exhausting, but it was, that's how it showed up. If I can, whatever he says he need, okay, I got it. Okay, I got it. Yeah, here, sure, here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. To the point of even when you know it's usury, you keep giving because you hope that your pleasing will turn into love.
ooh. So, okay, wait a minute. So now I got another question. So
Love this, Lisa.
when we talk about divorce, and a lot of times people will say, well, they did and they did, but it sounds to me like you are taking accountability for your role in this situation. How
Yeah.
important is that? Is taking that accountability even in not just in divorce, but in starting over.
I don't think you can adequately heal when you think you aren't sick. Okay. If I came out of 32 years with one guy, like I never did anything wrong, and I'm a product of I grew up with just me and my mom. I never even saw marriage modeled. You think I was perfect? With anybody in their right mind think, oh, Kim was perfect in her marriage, honey. It was all him. No.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you speak about it like you
Yeah,
put
yeah,
that
yeah.
out there immediately. So,
It is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have to do that because I think there's so much in my experiences that would paint him in a bad light.
yeah,
They just are what they are. God still has grace for him. God still loves him. No shade on that man. But I don't want the emphasis to just be that and that I came out of the marriage unscathed and in perfection.
okay,
Never, never. It's very important. And when you're starting over, if you don't look at the things that you missed, if you don't look at the things that you could do better, you're going to start over with the same. And they know it's not even going to be a start over. Baby, you might as well have been back at square one that you're coming out of because
you're wow and
you didn't
started
learn
it again.
nothing.
Okay, you watching the same movie basically.
Yeah, you worked in the same movie. So, and that's the worst thing because time is not anyone's friend. And you don't have time to keep playing reruns. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oof. Okay, so girl. So last week on the Starting Over podcast, I talked about forgiveness. And I don't know if you remember when I came to write for you for Team Jesus magazine, we had a conversation one time. I think it was a piece you were writing, and you talked about forgiveness. And
Uh-huh.
you said 70 times 7 is not so much about letting them sin against you 70 times 7 times.
Yep.
That 490. You said it's
Yeah.
more about every time you remember the thing that they did
Mm.
to forgive them again. So I mean, first of all, that changed it for me because we don't even realize that, every time you think about that person and you don't forgive, like you just add on to the coals that you want to just fry them up in. You know what I mean?
I
And
just add a
but
cold, baby. Add a cold. Yeah.
yeah, so how, if at all, did you manage to forgive during this divorce process and even afterward?
First of all, let me say this. It's real cute when you're not in the situation and you say those words. I'm just sitting here like, "Ooh, that was real cute, Kim, of you to say." Ooh, you had all that revelation, baby. Something else
You
when
are
you,
ahead of yourself.
girl, like, did I say that? Yes. And it stands truth because truth is truth. And truth don't care who you are. It applies to you. So yes. How did I apply that to the divorce process? OMG. I was given so much to forgive. I was given, some people coming to your life and it's almost like they came as a master class in forgiveness because there's so much that's done repeatedly. Um, as I was listening to you describe, I think that article is called Good Math or something.
Maybe. Yeah, it could have been.
Good Math or something like that. Anyway, but I can see it right now. I have the 70 times 7. So embarrassed. I can see it right now, but as you were talking, it's almost like all of the things that I experienced need their own 70 times 7. So it's almost like, where do I would drown in math. In the beginning, after the divorce, during the divorce, all the things, I was drowning in that math. Like, I got to forgive that and that. Oh, he did that too. That. Here's where forgiveness for me, the journey really began, the real journey began. It began, Lisa, when I started. One, I knew I needed God so much just to make it. And I wanted to pursue God with everything, but I can't pursue God with unforgiveness in my heart. God wasn't gonna play that. So I had to make a decision. You know what I mean? You got to make a decision. You gonna do this thing the right way or not? So you got to make that hard choice. I got to obey. I am commanded. I must forgive the infidelity. I must forgive all of that. So what helped me begin the process, and I still continue that process today because sometimes things will creep up or I'll hear something. I'll be like, oh, you'll think something. So I still do this. But what began my forgiveness journey in a real substantive way is to begin to shine the light on me and how much I needed forgiveness, and how if I continued that focus, I started to not think about so many of the other things in the marriage I had to forgive. I was, my hands were busy. I had to work on my stuff, you know what I mean? And my relationship with God, I didn't have time. I lost track of time to forgive or have that impact of the things because I just wanted to pursue freedom. I just wanted to pursue God. I just wanted to pursue my own. There's no way I could take communion. And as I'm taking the sacrifice God made for me, I'm still trying to hang dude on the cross. You know what I'm saying? That ain't gonna work. You know, those two things don't go together. So really shifting the focus, really realizing how much God so loved the world. Did God not shed blood for the one who offended you? Is what was done to you, Kim, too heavy for the blood of Jesus?
Oh,
Is what he did to is adultery? Is that too hard for God to forgive? Because you got some stuff over here that you're working on. So doesn't the same blood work that works for you? You Gucci, you good. Does that same grace not apply to him? So going through those exercises, honey, and it was exercises. It was exercises in just surrendering the pain and the blame and the hurt and all of this, to always, every time the thought comes up, I have to release and let go and understand that God's sacrifice still works for him as well.
mm, that was deep. So,
Yeah, it's
uh,
it is here.
that was yes. Wow. So, wait, one thing I wanna go back to because with the people pleasing. So, how much? Because we're talking about this as the church. How
Yep.
much does the church encourage people pleasing? It sounds like you're being like Jesus when you're sacrificing, but how much does submission as a wife play into people pleasing? Or did it play into people pleasing for you? Aside from your trauma from the beginning,
Mhm.
how much did the church add on?
Oh, that's a good question because that is such a fine, narrow line. Toxic people pleasing, being a doormat, letting someone run over you, etc. And submission, that is so very, that's deep. That's deep. So let me think about that.
Okay, we can circle back, but
No,
that
no,
was,
no, no.
oh,
I'm
you ready?
here. I'm
Okay.
with you because I know the times when I wanted to buck, when I wanted to say no, when I thought someone was right, submission scriptures would come to mind. Submission scriptures would come into mind. And when you're in a relationship dynamic where there is manipulation, abuse, lying, there comes a point where we're not taught in the church how Jesus never begged.
Wow.
Jesus never begged. He gave people the freedom to choose. He never tried. See, people pleasing, part of people pleasing is really manipulative. It's manipulating an outcome by you being so self-sacrificing, by
Mm,
you doing all the things. That person may not be giving or complying out of their heart. They're just doing it because you gave up something
okay.
that they were able to lower your standard. They were able to break you. And then you felt like you did something. But Jesus never begged. When the disciples left him, I think that was in John somewhere, John 66 maybe. When many left him that day, many left him that day, he didn't run behind them,
Right.
didn't beg them to stay. Hey, where y'all going? Come back. Don't leave. He let them go. Matter of fact, he not only let them go, he turned to the disciples and said, y'all leaving too?
Right. You're
Listen,
right.
and Peter, I think it was Peter with his my love Peter. Where we gonna go, Lord? Where shall we go? Where I'm gonna go? Listen. So yes, I believe there can be an unhealthy teaching of submission that has many women taking everything that is thrown at them. And then they operate under the guilt of, I have to take this because I must submit to my husband.
Oof.
It's a hard line. It's a hard line.
I had to look that up because it is John 6 and 66.
Dixie, okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yep.
And I like, no, not like, I love that scripture. So when you see, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
And it helped me so much afterwards,
Right.
Lisa, because I would beg, honey, I wasn't too proud to beg. When you've been somewhere 30 something years, it is not on your vision board to be 50 plus and alone. You're gonna do like I did, like most women do. I'm gonna do whatever it takes not to lose my family. So I was one that I wasn't too proud.
Transparency. Woo,
Huh?
go ahead. This transparency. Go ahead.
Listen, this is what heals, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm a very well put together woman. In the eyes of many, Kim is successful. Kim is this, Kim is that. And I was not too proud to beg. Listen, we can make it, man. We can do it. I would do anything to save my family, anything to save my marriage. So I wasn't, and when I read that verse, I was like, I was out of order. All of that pleading and begging and contorting myself to meet all these demands, honey, that was not what God purposed for his daughter. He loves me. I am valuable to God. God, the verse that kept me solid in that mess, God hates divorce. I think that's Ezekiel somewhere. Honey, when I tell you the revelation, I know, right? The revelation of course, God hates divorce because he built the world on the marriage of Adam and Eve, and he's ending it all with the marriage with his church. He cares about marriage. It's important to God. Marriage, the covenant of marriage is important. So, of course, he hates divorce. But his hate for divorce does not trump his hate to see his daughters or sons being abused, being harmed. He hates his purpose not being fulfilled because you can't even function. You're going through depression and anxiety and all these things because you're in an abusive relationship and you're staying and you're taking it because, well, God hates divorce. I gotta stick around and one day God is going to deliver. One day, you know, it was a revelation of the things that are really on God's heart when it comes to these things. So
All right. So that, wow. Okay. So starting over happens on many different levels, a lot of them external. What are some startovers that you find yourself facing externally?
externally, oh gosh, after divorce, you have a whole you have a whole new life. Okay, after divorce, remember, a marriage is the blending of two people together as one. To detach that, everything about life, you start over. You start over with really figuring out, as you said, external things first.
Yeah.
Um, what are you going to eat tonight? What do I want to eat? How do I want to run my bank account? Um, as a woman, the things maybe that he took care of. Okay, do I need to get a handyman? I wonder if someone can refer a handyman to me. All of these external things that you never thought about. Do I know how to change an AC filter in the HVAC system? All of these things on now being a single woman, now that you are divorced, it you think about everything. You think about, especially if you are alone. You have adult kids, you're now living alone. The whole thing changes. What do I want to do today? Where am I going to go today? When life looked very different from hanging out with the same person all the time. You always had to think about their needs, their wants, bring them together, and you all did something. What do you want now?
Mm.
All of those, all the things,
Wow.
everything
Wow. All
external.
right. So those are the physical and outward things. You know that transformational personal growth, you know that's my jam.
Yes, yes.
What are the things that, and part of your identity was wife, like you just said, like what are we going to, how did, and not just wife of this Mr. X, Mr., I don't want to call names out even though we know it, but what, what, if anything, did the divorce do to your identity? Like, how did it shift or change it?
My whole, let me make it personal. My whole identity had to change from the physical of changing bank accounts and insurance documents with Mrs., going to your employer and saying things like, hey, take people off of insurance and change beneficiaries, to I am now, what is just Kim outside of a marriage certificate? I had to rebuild my identity, rediscover my identity. And I did so by looking in the face of God. God, who did you make me to be?
Oh,
Let me look at you. Let me look right in your eyes, God, and tell me, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do now that I am? It is just Kim out here. It's me and you, Jesus. What we doing? You know what I mean?
what
And
we doing instead of
oh,
what we
what we doing?
doing,
Yes, because
right?
one of the scriptures, another scripture I held on to was, my maker is my husband. And though I was out here and I'm now a single woman, I said, God, I'm gonna start looking to you for even the littlest things that I want. God, I sure hope I get a close parking space. I mean, I start from all these little crazy prayers, right? Like God, my maker's my husband. I would love to do this. I would love to do this.
Uh-huh.
What does that look like when I now don't have to look into the face of a person? I now look at myself as it's just me. I had to rediscover who Kim was. What do I like? What do I want in life? My wants were attached to a person. We had joint wants. Everything was joint. You're one with another person.
Right.
In and of myself, what are some things that I have never explored that I want to? What are
Ooh,
some things that I'd like to learn how to do that, but I never had the time because I was always attached to someone else. I was always raising kids because part of divorce for many people, men and women, is not only your identity and yourself, but you're now an empty nester. So
okay.
you lose two roles. I quote unquote, I'm still mom forever, but I'm not mom in the same way. And I'm no longer wife. So all of those things open up the playing field to a beautiful oyster of what do I want to do with me?
Yeah.
I had to shift from the woe is me, all by myself to wait a minute, all by myself, honey. There's some things I can do.
Right.
I got my own this, my own that. What do I want to do with it?
Right.
It becomes from a burden to let's have some fun and discover myself again.
I love that. Okay. How much, you mentioned it a little bit, but I want you to like really, really, you said you got in the face of God to see what you wanted to do and what have you.
Mhm.
But how much was your faith in God a part of your identity growth and transformation?
Mm, I would say it was 110%.
Okay.
I didn't have anything. The process depleted me. I
Okay.
had nothing but my faith in God. Now, let me say this. I also had to pull from past overcomings. Okay, when you get to 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age, it's not necessarily your first rodeo when you have a hit and you need to start over. Okay, by the time you're 30, 40, 50, you've started over in some way, shape, or form before, right? So me having started over from childhood trauma and that era of healing and overcoming and starting over I had to do, I was able to pull from that experience.
Okay.
And what I pulled from that experience was that God was faithful and he was not going to leave me in a depleted state. If he didn't do it then and he regenerated me, he brought me back, he gave me life. This starting over after divorce is not too hard for him. This ain't God's first rodeo. He's not twiddling his thumbs or pacing the floor, worried about how am I going to get Kim through this. No, I knew that only my faith in God was going to get me to the other side of any type of glow up, of any type of redemption for myself, any type of exhale, getting to that freedom place where I could breathe again. So my faith in God was everything. All glory to him. It was all I had.
Wow. Okay. So I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think you want to be married again?
Most definitely. Easy peasy question, honey.
Easy
I
peasy.
it's so funny. Even though I've gone through what I've gone through, I am still built and made and purposed to be a wife.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Okay, do you think, okay, because there are some people that say there are some women who are wives and there are some people who are not wives. They're just built that way. Okay, tell us what do you think what do you think it takes and what characteristics do you think are the embodiment of wife?
Mm. Well, that's a good question. The embodiment of a wife is the maturity, the humility, and the insight to be able to be a helpmeet to a man.
The
When you
maturity.
have the heart,
Okay.
I have a heart of and the gift of you give me a seed, I'm gonna give you a forest. Okay, that's just in me. I know how to make things grow. I know how to sit back and observe a situation and develop a strategy, and then how to use my femininity to present that to my husband so that he can flourish for the both of us.
Okay.
I can do that.
Oh,
Now, I'm not even gonna say that I did that. I learned it in my first marriage. No, some stuff I'm learning as a wife. I'm learning as a single divorced woman, or I had to learn some, because there's some things that I didn't get right. But this woman right here, I still have the ability to make things grow. I still have a heart to please my husband, but I would be wiser in who I give the pleasing to. I will be wiser now. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm built to be a wife, baby. Okay. I'm
oh,
not built for these single streets. So at all, okay, at all. But
okay. So you want to be married again.
yes.
What is your criteria in choosing a husband this time? Or what lets you be chosen as a wife, even as you choose a husband? It says the man that finds a wife finds a good thing, right? So he has to choose you as a wife.
Right, right.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in choosing a husband this time around? That's different that you made that even have considered the first time.
One thing in my big age that I'm not able to do, I can answer in what I'm not going to do versus what I'm going to do. I know that might be a little twisted, but anyway, I'm not going to accept a proposal from pure potential. Honey, 20-year-old Kim, you just give me an ounce of potential. I was just going to go to work on Build a Man projects and all kinds of stuff, girl. I
To
can
build a
take it
man, build a man, right? Let's
make it
get
work.
this, that.
So I want, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a built man. Now, a built man can still need help. A built man can still have a vision where he doesn't have all the pieces, where he needs the favor of a wife. And I carry the favor of God. He who finds a wife, he will find me in God's favor because that's what's on my life right now. So I'm looking for a built man. I can't do ground zero. I can't really do a lot of, I'm not looking to do a lot of um projects or building or financing. I'm not able to do that anymore.
Okay.
But I am able to bring what I have that God has in me and lay it before the king that God has purpose for me. And it's going to be some amazing things that happen when those two, from our resources, our character, the calling on our life. He has to be a kingdom man because that's who I am. I've been in the face of God now. I've gotten a whole lot of things out of my life that don't need to be in my life. I'm a woman of God straight up. I still have my rough edges. I still will cut up. But I'm still God's girl, baby, okay? And nothing can get in the way of that. So you got to get in line with that. You have to be a kingdom man, because that's who I'm purposed to be a helpmate to, a kingdom man with a kingdom purpose.
Okay.
And I think from there, all the a man. I'm looking for a man who knows how to forgive, who's empathetic.
Okay.
I've been in relationship where there was extreme narcissistic tendencies, there's lack of empathy, unforgiveness, the contempt. I can't do mean men.
Okay.
I can't do I need a kind, gentle, spirited man. And I want to bring that same energy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That same compassion, grace. I want peace, honey. I'm too old for if you're not gonna bring me peace,
That.
you can bring me a whole lot of things because you're a man. If you understand what I'm saying, you can bring me some things now. But
The big package.
uh,
Okay.
you
The gift
understand,
wrap with the bow.
you understand.
Peace.
I need peace, and I just want to be happy and joyful and just peaceful. I don't want no drama. I'm done with that.
You said something and I wanted to ask you about this. So you said you want a man that's built. So as a person who it takes the seed and makes the forest, where do you find a role for yourself when the person comes with the forest already?
Well, I'm a visionary. So you can have a forest, but are you a man whose purpose to have 20 forests and you only got one right now? Baby,
Chop some of them trees down in the forest and build houses.
let's
Hey,
multiply.
let's
Okay,
do
you got
this.
a forest, but you're looking
Okay.
at lumber.
Right,
For me, I see more than lumber. I see subdivisions. I
baby.
see housing for homeless. I mean, there's a lot of ways we
Don't
can.
you?
When you have a woman with vision, you can be a built man, but when I touch it, or when any woman with vision who is built to be a wife, whatever you give her, if you give her $10, if you give her 10 million, she's going to multiply and bring favor and grace upon your life.
That part.
That part.
And
So,
amen.
amen.
Oh, well, okay. So, wow. Okay, this has been great. So, listen. So, this version of Kim is also an author. You've been an author and also a very thoughtful writer. So, the links to your titles will be in the description, but I want you to tell us about your forthcoming book, which has a very, very interesting title.
Yes, it
It's
does.
wild, and the church people they're gonna be a
They're
little,
gonna go wild, baby. Yeah.
their little
Listen.
underwear is gonna be all up in the butt. But
Yes.
listen, the title of the book is Dumb, Bitch.
Period.
Okay, and what was the subtitle?
The Smart Woman's Guide to Decode Emotional Terrorism.
Okay, tell us why you wrote that.
Okay.
And tell us who you hope to reach.
Okay. All right. So why? Why this book? Well, there are many women. I wrote it for women. This book is one of those books where you hear authors all the time say, I wrote the book I needed to read, but it didn't exist.
Okay.
Okay. I was seeing signs in my relationship, but acting like I wasn't seeing signs in my relationship. Okay. Or I saw the signs, but I didn't know what to do with them because they were a little odd. And then sometimes the signs would switch on me. And then I would feel like, okay, I'm crazy because I know I it was a lot. It was a lot. So why this book?
Why this title first? Before you go, why this book? Why this title? Let's talk
Oh
about that.
gosh. Okay. So, ma'am, the title was spoken into existence back in, excuse me, I want to say 2010 or 2011. Okay. The title Dumb Bitch or Dumb Bitch and bitch, I can explain that right now. Bitch stands for beautiful, intelligent, tenacious, courageous, high value women. These are most of the women who experience what I'm about to share. So back in 2010, 11, I was called a dumb bitch. Okay. I was called a dumb bitch. And my response, okay, it was a lot of things. You call a sister a dumb bitch. It's like, oh, what? You know. But in that moment, what happened is I was taken off guard. I had never been called a dumb bitch before. The first thing out of my mouth, one of the first things out of my mouth was this. I said, if you call me a dumb bitch again, I'm going to write a book called Dumb Bitch, and I'm going to help other women in these toxic, emotionally abusive relationships. Hmm. I don't know why I said that, but that I told him that I was going to write a book called Dumb Bitch. You ever call me a dumb bitch again? I'm writing a book called Dumb Bitch. Needless to say, I was called it again. And it took years now. It was years later, and it hit me like, wow. Then after all of the litigation, divorce, et cetera, it was like, Kim, remember you said you were going to write a book to help other women in narcissistic, emotionally abusive, manipulative relationships. And then I started studying more. I started looking at the correlation between natural terrorism and how there are women walking around and men too. And I've had men say, Kim, why you writing that book just for women? Y'all crazy too. Y'all give us it was all the way right. I said, listen,
Y'all
sir.
crazy too. Well, now.
I said, listen, you are exactly right. Let me
Right.
validate your feelings. You are exactly right. No cap. But I'm a woman, so I'm gonna write to the women for right now. So maybe that's a book for you to write, or maybe the men y'all can just pick it up. Don't tell nobody. Say you got it for your girl, whatever. But I am writing for women. So the point is, there are a lot of women who are going through these types of relationships and they're stuck. I was extremely stuck for all the myriad of reasons. I was stuck. And the behavior in the marriage got so quirky where I would do things like I have volumes of audio of arguments because I knew I said something, but it would be projected like you didn't say that, or things he would say that you're crazy. I never said that. You making this up. And I would be in a point of I'm about to lose it because I know I heard XYZ. So I was going through all these things. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep my word to myself and I'm going to write this book, Dumb Bitch. So there we have it. So it's coming this year.
Okay.
Um, and it is also a way to turn, if you look at, what's the scripture that inspired me? Uh, 1 Samuel 17, that chapter where David took Goliath's sword and cut his head off. This book is my way of taking the words that so damaged me, so offended me. I'm now repurposing those words into a book that is going to empower and help other women. I'm taking the sword from that spirit, not the person. I'm
Right.
taking that sword from the spirit behind that words, the spirit behind those words. Oh, I'm taking the sword of that spirit and I'm cutting it off.
Taking that head off.
Taking
Right.
it, I'm taking that head off,
All
and
right.
I'm going to do that in the women, in the lives of other women. So that's the goal. That is the why.
I love this. Listen, and I know we could talk. I could stay on here. We could be on here. But um, a question about that book is there because it's forthcoming. Is there somewhere where women can sign up to get announcements about the book?
Yeah, sure. You can go to dumbbitchbook.com and you can sign up for the wait list. You'll get certain updates from me. I'm sharing the whole journey when I can. I know I'm behind. I think I'm behind right now, but you'll get like a view of the journey of writing the book, when it's coming out, when it's available. And then I keep people encouraged. There's some people going through it right now, just like, look, I need your book yesterday. So I also try to email just some encouraging words, just, hey, you're not crazy, validating points.
Okay.
vignettes from the book. So yeah, dumbitchbook.com. You can sign up. Please, you're on the waiting list. I would love to have you part of the family.
Yes, yes. Dumbbitchbook.com. Y'all don't get all twisted around over that title because some of y'all have gotten called and have said worse.
And have said
And
worse. Exactly.
y'all playing.
Exactly. Stop playing.
Dumbbitchbook.com.
Yep,
Yeah.
dumbitchbook.com.
One last thing. Tell us about your super specific coaching program that you have.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. So
And
part
what
of
you
my
hope to accomplish with it.
okay. Part of my starting over. And before I'm tell you a funny story real quick.
Okay.
Before I started coaching, I was one of the main people on the microphone mocking coaches. Somebody named mama a coach. Oh my gosh, somebody else
Study
a
to
coach.
be a coach.
Everybody's a coach. Girl, I was cutting up. During my starting over process, God spoke to me one day and said, I need you to prepare yourself. Yeah, you're the go-to friend everybody always talks to. You're going to have a heavy casket because everybody tells you all their business and you know how to hold water. That's cute, Kim. But I need you to go and prepare yourself because the women are coming. And I was like, God, really? I be a coach for real? You really want me to coach? So I went to school, got certified, and now I am actively coaching men and women, but predominantly women. And it's so funny, most of my reviews are from men. It's amazing how they're impacted as well. Like I never wanted this or pursued it or whatever, but when you see the fruit of this is what you're supposed to be doing. So my specific program is Viva Divorce Recovery. And Viva, the company is Viva Human. That's my coaching consultancy. And Viva stands for long live, right? Viva Human is long live abundant life. The human component of us, Jesus came that we may have life that much more abundantly. John 10:10. So Viva Human, I am here on this planet in this season of life to help people repossess their love, their joy, their peace, abundance, their confidence, their identity after divorce, breakups, and trauma. So I have very specific programs that will help you. If you want to just talk to a coach, I'm stuck, I don't know how to get forward. We're going to work together to help pull out how you're going to get there. If you're starting over from divorce, I'm tore up, Kim. I understand, have been there, done that, got a t-shirt and the cap. This is not the end of your story. You had purpose before you had a marriage license, and your purpose is not over. So I take people through, I walk them through their journeys. I'm the guy, you're gonna do some work. Now, my clients will tell you, Kim and that daggone homework,
Not the homework.
you're gonna do some homework, baby. Okay, we're gonna get into some things, but it's to help you. It's to help you. Okay. And God has given me some insight, some wisdom, and I'm just honored to be used by him. This is a whole like, do I need, I said yes, and it is showing up in the lives of others, and I'm honored to be able to help women in any capacity and men in any capacity I can as their coach, as Coach Kim.
Yes, Coach Kim.
Yes.
Okay, well, is there anything that I have not asked that you would like to share with our listeners?
I just want to share that whenever you're starting over, whatever you're starting over from, wherever your one season has closed and you're beginning a new season, know that every season is an upgrade. Every season, you're going from glory to glory. Pack up all of your lessons as you move from one season to the next. You didn't go through what you went through just to go through it. You didn't come this far just to come this far. You know what I mean? So I just want to encourage anyone out there who is starting over, whether it be divorce or not, you got this, and God's got you.
Yes.
There's the store.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm so excited. I can't wait for people to see this. Y'all give it up for my girl Kim Bright. Repo coach, repossessing it.
Let's go get it. Take it back, baby.
Get
Take it.
back. Yes, Lord. Give it up for our guest, our transparent guest, and our sister Kim Bright. I thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun. You know, we can go and go and go. I
Uh,
appreciate the invitation and sharing with your audience. God bless you, girl. Keep doing what you're doing. Listen, God's got you too, Lisa Yvette. And the Starting Over podcast. Glad to be here. Love y'all.
Kim, can you tell us where to find you on the socials?
Sure, sure. I love socials, honey. I am everywhere at Kim Brightness. Okay. So whether you're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, at Kim Brightness, you're going to find your girl there.
Everywhere. We love to see it. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you for watching the Starting Over podcast with Lisa Yvette. If you like what you've heard, like, share, and subscribe. We love you with the love of the Lord, and we will see you next week. Peace.